Well, g'day, folks. Welcome to another live episode. This is a ripper, the 2024 Rowing Victoria Masters State Championship. This is up there. I mean, this makes the boat race look a bit lightweight. So we thought we'd better come to you live, give you all a preview, bit of feedback, what to expect over the weekend's racing ahead. And of course, I am joined by co-host John Perry from Hawthorn Rowing Club, our own rowing guru. John, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you very much for having me on again, Guy. I was chuffed that you asked me back after the boat race.
Well, I had to, didn't I? Because you absolutely nailed the brief in the boat race. So I put you under the pump. I asked you for the tips, and you went against the trend. And turns out you're 100% right. You had a 100% success rate.
I could struggle if you asked me who's going to win the men's and women's ace on the weekend, but I think we're in for a chat.
Well, that's all right, because the beauty of it is, John, there is 79 events in the coming weekend, and I'm going to get a tip from you on all of... No, I'm not, of course. We'll be here for 4 days covering that off, and I'll tell you what, I don't know who's going to win the Mixed Masters E Coxless Quad, but... Oh, hang on. Gee, we should have beaten it. I just randomly picked one there. That was going to be our event, wasn't it? But you got rudely dragged into another event instead, which clashed. But that's not...
I did indeed. And as we know at the Gambia, the turnaround time is pretty long because you pretty much have to row the course to get back to the boating area.
It is. It's a little bit frustrating, all of that. That's why I love these other Masters events, like especially Carrum and Albert Park, because you can have a very quick turnaround. You can bang in a couple each bracket if you're really keen. But you're right. Yeah, Ngambia is a bit of a tricky one, and it also becomes a bit of a can I say shit fight? You can, because it's not a kids program, this one. Bit of a shit fight on the bank sometimes when we're juggling in and out of boats on the side there, trying to get the next race off, and everyone's too busy picking up their medals and so forth. And of course, it's worth noting that with state championships and of course national championships, you get 3 medals. Well, assuming there's 4 or more. If there's only 3 in a race, there's 2 medals, and if there's only 2 in a race, there's only 1 medal. But effectively what it means, it's a bit like a good effort tag, isn't it? If there's 4 boats in your division and the top 3 get medals, you're sort of 75% walk away chuffed. I don't know if I believe in that.
I'll take it.
Hey, I'm not gonna knock it back. Don't misunderstand me. I'll take the bling. Absolutely, we're paying for it. You know, no problem. Actually, you know what I'd love to see in state that they do at national is also the club medal being handed out. Because at nationals, of course, as you know, is if there's a club boat in the event, the fastest club boat get a separate medal. I mean, you can walk away with 2 blings in one race.
Indeed,
and that's what we do it all for. Now, let's just briefly go over last year's results and the premiership standings for Masters, and it'll be no surprise, of course, Melbourne Rowing Club totally dominated last year, as we know. They had 703 points, Yarra Yarra in second at 498 and Corio in third at 438. So pretty resounding results by Melbourne Rowing Club. I'm probably not going to, I don't think we could expect much different this year. I actually haven't seen the current standings where they sit at the moment. I was too busy looking for our results and I couldn't find it because it only went up to 10. But that's
well, I think a pretty good proxy for which club's going to do well is how many rowers in the state team come from the individual clubs.
Oh yeah, good call.
And I think that's a pretty good proxy. And if we think about Hawthorn, we had our greatest success was when we had the greatest number of rowers in the state team. So the current Victorian State Masters team, which there's 4 boats that are at the Australian Masters down in Lake Barrington. Across the 4 boats, there's 31 athletes, men's and women's, and no surprise, Melbourne has 9 rowers in the Victorian State Masters team to compete at Australia. Carrum next, which is great to see, and they're especially strong in the ladies' Carrum. Then Yarra Yarra, then Corio Bay. So I think you'd probably take as a proxy the clubs that have the greatest number of rowers representing the Victorian state team are probably going to do best at Masters. So I think it's a pretty good proxy for a competitive training program, motivated rowers, and really good rowers.
Look, spot on. I'm glad you looked at those stats. That's a ripper. I hadn't thought of that one. That's it's 100% right, isn't it? I mean, you're talking there effectively. Let's round the numbers down because we're rowers. We can't get too specific, but effectively 30% from Melbourne Rowing Club.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, I mean, no one's surprised there because whenever you go past Melbourne Rowing Club, there's always people up there doing ergos, middle of winter or not. You know, there's lights on and people working, and funnily enough, that's what gets results. We all know that. But
and
you know,
to your podcast, I think last week.
Yeah,
I believe from having chatted to a few people at Melbourne that I know that it's fitness on the ergo, technique on the water, and they're very, very strong on that. So interesting. So it's North Sydney,
North Shore. Yeah, North Shore Rowing Club in Sydney, which was Jen Pollock, the Cox up there. He said the exact same thing. They do their fitness on the ergo, a couple of sessions a week, and then their technical stuff on the water. That comes back to that whole conversation about training versus rowing too, doesn't it? But let's not go down a rabbit hole. I'll start on that one all over again with a new audience that'll be listening this time around.
Now, do you want me to give you a few thoughts on this weekend?
Please do. Give us some thoughts, as we'll have Mario join us soon. I can see Mario's going into the green room actually as we speak. So Mario's in the green room. We can't leave him there too long because the lobster and champagne will run out quickly because he'll be ripping into that in no time. So we'll have to bring him onto the screen. But in the interim, so give us a couple of thoughts, John, and then we'll bring Mario in shortly.
Well, this weekend, a bit like the Oxford-Cambridge boat race, the weather is looking perfect. We should have 20 degrees Saturday, 21 degrees Sunday. Most importantly, at Carrum, the wind is forecast to be light the whole time.
Right.
And as we know at Carrum, the wind can have Nagambie.
I was about to say, why are we at Carrum all of a sudden? It's going to be a bit of a problem if you go to the wrong place.
Sorry, at Nagambie, the weather will be beautiful and the wind is going to be light both days, currently forecast, because as we know at Nagambie, the wind can play a bit of a factor in the first 200 metres. Interestingly, the support for the event's up. We're up in the 350 athletes. Yeah. It dropped down to about 320 last year, and as we know, they truncated the program into one day last year. With 353, so that's up around the 2017-2018 mark. The highest ever number's been about 400 that I can see in 2016. COVID knocked things around, but it seems like the support for the event's up, with about each athlete doing roughly about 3 to 4 races each.
I'm gobsmacked by that. I think it's fantastic because it's effectively a quasi long weekend, isn't it? With the Anzac Day on Thursday, and I know a lot of people are taking a long weekend, so I thought it was going to knock entries around. But obviously, people are still keen to go for a row, and obviously, we love the state championships. It's a big one.
Well, interestingly, Rowing Victoria didn't actually confirm the location of the regatta until well into the season. It normally comes out at the start of the racing calendar, but if they'd confirmed it earlier, I think a lot of people might have made a long weekend around the Nagambie and surrounding areas, but for some reason it didn't get announced until about midway through our current season. But
maybe that's a bit of a mistake, isn't it? Because if you remember, we've spoken about the Nagambie Gold here and all the money that Nagambie Rowing Club has been throwing into getting, promoting tourism in the area. Maybe this should be off the back of that as well, shouldn't it?
Well, indeed. Which was interesting. They didn't announce the location for some time. So the weather's looking good. The support for the event looks like it's up, which is really, really positive. And the other interesting factor I thought was bear in mind I've only been masters rowing for a few years, what seems like the introduction of the 500-metre sprint.
Yep, love it. Love it.
I think it's indicative of a bigger issue with rowing in terms of looking at different formats, different approaches, different lengths. So we know that the 2028 LA Olympics has been shortened to a 1,500-metre course.
Yep.
I've heard the former CEO of Rowing Australia talk about the fact that rowing's looking at other sports like live golf and fast tennis to try and work out how they can make it, I guess, a more engaging and a more exciting spectator sport than 2 kilometres of rowing where spectators nowadays only see about the last 30 seconds. So
I'll tell you what, I'll look forward to some comments from Mario on this topic too, because he's a bit old school on these things. But we'll drag him in. He's getting very comfortable in the green room. I don't know if you just noticed he's playing his guitar a moment ago. We might not be able to get him out of there if he. But sorry, I've interrupted you there, John. But,
good weather, good support for the event, and interesting with this 500-metre sprint that they're changing things up a bit. No, I hope it gets well supported. I think it's on the afternoon of Sunday.
I believe it is. I think it's at the end of it, and just to bang it out. And there's only limited events, but that's a fantastic start. So, yeah, no, all's looking very good for the weekend. I'm pretty excited. I was a bit flat about it, but seeing the entries up like this, and, you know, it's certainly a positive thing. Now, we're going to bring Mario in. Mario, he's in the green room. He's ready to go. Let's bring him in. We'll add him to the stage. G'day, Mario. How are you? Can you hear us from the start? G'day, Mario.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly. Can you hear us?
Into this.
That's right. We'll work it out.
Sound should be up.
The internet's probably a bit
What
slower.
I have to do for getting the sound?
Can you hear us yet?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear us. Oh,
How do I get the sound on the thing?
Well, I don't know. You can't hear us at all. Okay, your speakers probably, your volume might not be on. I don't know. All looks normal on this end. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to put myself up here so we're not looking at you trying to fluff around getting your internet working. You'll get it going. Just press some buttons. It'll come good. Yeah, I don't know. Ring the IT department. Ship them in. They have an IT department up there. Hey, this is what we love about live shows, John, isn't it? It puts you under the pump, you know, and we're obviously consummate professionals. We can just roll with this sort of thing and just keep talking until we fix it all out. Just yell out, Mario, when you can actually.
Default speakers.
I was going to mention putting the state masters into a kind of national.
Yeah. Hello,
Mario. It's all part of the fun.
Live TV, yeah. Maybe we should ring him on the phone. So we do it that way. We can plug him in via that. I don't know if it'll work. Yeah, hello. Imagine the early days of live TV, John, and imagine this sort of happening when you've got. Do you think Mario could be on mute?
You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
We can hear you, mate.
We can hear him perfectly. I wonder if I can. I'll just send him a message. How's that? We'll use some old school technology, like a telephone.
Do you want me to put the Vic State Masters into a bit of national perspective, Guy?
Yep. Let's do that.
So we've got 353 athletes rowing on the weekend.
Yep.
If we look at New South Wales in their last State Masters, they had 567 athletes.
Oh wow! Really?
Queensland 330, Tassie about 180, Western Australia 160.
Right.
But the most interesting little nugget I could think of is South Australia. I think is the
sound
space.
Having issues.
Hang on, I'll tell him to stop talking to himself.
How do I get sound
Hang on.
In your studio.
I know what I could. I might be able to mute him for the moment until we can get him going. There we go. Yeah, sorry. Go back to where you were, John. Sorry, South Australia.
Just putting the Victorian numbers into context. So we got 353, but South Australia's they had 216 athletes at their last State Masters Championship.
Yep.
Yet, from a national perspective, they're incredibly strong. So 2022, let's take the 8, I guess, as a proxy of overall success, which I know we shouldn't, but...
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. We all like the 8. Yeah, go on.
In the old school kind of Olympic fashion.
Hello?
No. Hello, Mario. Oh, I thought I muted him. He's unmuted himself.
Okay, how do I fix the sound?
Oh, can you hear me now?
StreamYard Studio.
I might mute him again. We're going to go back and forth muting. Look, it's part of the fun, isn't it? Sorry, John. Now back to the 8s. We'll try.
No, saying South Australia. So 216 athletes competing compared to our 353. 2022, the women came second in the 8. The men came first. 2023, the women came first and the men came first. So I reckon South Australia is the New Zealand of our states. They punch well above their weight.
Well above their weight. That's a big call. Let's not tell them that over in South Australia because they might get a little bit, might get a bit ahead of themselves.
We'll see how they go at Lake Barrington, but I just thought it's interesting that they're sort of third.
No, I can't hear it. So now, can you hear me? No. So now I go to.
Hey, look, our viewers have gone up at least. They're finding the entertainment value up there. We'll come back with that quality content, John.
I know, all good.
Yeah. Yep.
Settings. We'll go to
audio. Now we can hear you perfectly. Go to. I'll tell you what. Why don't I just give him a quick call? Doesn't matter, does it? We can, I'll just get him on the phone. Old school thing. Oh, we're doing a live phone call. You can hear you perfectly.
Really?
Yep. So we can hear you perfectly, but you can't hear us. So I'm guessing maybe your speaker is off on your computer or something. Yeah, I don't know if we can do that. We'll try. Hang on, let me put you on speaker. Let's see if that. Whoop. All right, does that work? Is this going to work if you? Okay, speak now, Mario. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How does that work, John? Can you hear Mario if we do it this way?
I can. It's a bit delayed and a bit fuzzy, but it could work.
Well, when we're up against it, this might be our only option. For the purposes of now, Mario, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Been something I've been looking forward to for the last few
weeks. And where's my computer?
Yeah, they might just get.
No, don't unmute. Hey, hang on. No, don't unmute yourself because then it's going a bit of a because you're coming through my phone now, so that works all right, ish. Does that make sense? So don't unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can hear me now.
Yep. Can hear you perfectly.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, I've been looking forward to having a chat to you about what's been happening in the Lake Eildon Rowing Club and how it's been so well received by the rowing community, and it's got a bit of an international following as well, which is interesting too.
Oh, look, you've done an amazing job in creating a profile literally overnight. I mean, you've been around a long time. When it comes to the old masters rowing, I think you're the doyen of it, for lack of a better word. And clearly, what you did with Lake Eildon just to get the ball rolling, it's taken a big notch out of the community. Everyone's loving it. I think you're doing a great job. You've had a win. Your son got a win. That must have been an exciting day down at Footscray.
Yeah, it was exciting. Yeah. And I think it's one of these things that rowing has been in my life since I was very young, and my dad was a rower and he rowed at the South American Championships for Chile. And I guess he must have been training when he was making me, because there was a fair bit of those, that desire to row that was in me. And so I've been in a boat for most of my life, and that's basically what has given me this love for the sport. And I think it's really a love for rowing and being out there. And it took me a long time to actually learn to scull properly, because it's an art form. And you think you're doing it right. And then if you have a break from it for a while, then you come back and you pick up all these things that all these faults in your technique and stuff, and you stop getting that feel. So you're always constantly trying to find that relaxation, and so, but for me, it's a life journey. It just keeps evolving and you keep improving, but then other parts start to fall away. Like right now, as you get older, you notice, if you don't stay consistent with your training, you to lose some of that power.
Yep.
And it's probably doing weights again. You know? Like, I think that I just need to start doing weights. I think as people get older, you realize that weights do work. You know, they do increase your muscle size and strength and all that, and it's important to keep that going.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. There's no doubt, because as we get older, we think we're better, because, you know, the old saying, the older I am, the better I was. But what does have to happen is you do have to lift the game a bit on the physical work, because it just is going to get harder. And it's why we see, I think, in Masters, where you always see the same names winning, don't you? And those same names winning are the ones that do all of that work. They do all the out of boat stuff. They you know, they're training every day, basically, whether it's in a gym or whether it's on the water. They're doing something. There's no doubt age is something you got to keep working on when you get older.
Yeah. I think it's easy to take a few notches down in your training and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to say, well, I'm getting older, but if you want to feel younger, you have to start behaving and acting like when you were young. So I used to do 1 hour ergos, like every day, and love them, you know, because actually, you know, people talk about mindfulness and meditation, and I've tried it, and you got to sit down and you try, you know, 30 minutes sitting down trying to keep your mind quiet and still. It's bloody hard, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Like very hard, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to sit for an hour and things like that, or an hour and a half. And I tried it, but in the end, you get the same result by getting on a single and going for a 1 hour row, or getting on the rowing machine and not having your listening to music or nothing. I just like to just focus on every stroke, because it's each stroke is sort of like a universe in itself.
Oh, you're talking it up now. You're making me want to do an ergo.
I enjoy ergos now, you know, because it's a time where you get quiet and you forget everything else going on in your life, and you just have to be present.
Yeah.
So, like I said, people about mindfulness and meditation, and this is actually totally natural meditation, you know. And there's a guy called Pocock. He's an American boat builder, and he was a very good rower as well. And he's in that movie that just came out, Boys in the Boat.
Boys in the Boat, yep.
And one of his famous quotes was about rowing and how, you know, it's such a great sport because you touch a little bit of heaven every time you do it. You know, it's like there's something divine about the sport. It just, your mind just goes still, and that's what makes the best rowers, like, you know, Peter Anthony and this type of people that I grew up with, you know, admiring and watching. Just such a relaxed style, and that's how the guy could go, you know, 40 strokes a minute.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the whole length
2K.
of the 2K course, you know.
Yeah.
And because you've got to be relaxed to row that fast. You can't be. It's like Bruce Lee said, you know, if you row fast, you have to be.
And they do, and that's what the beauty of modern, I don't know, media is. You actually can see them, right? You even like the boat race where you've got 6 odd K, you've got the cameras on them the whole way. You can see their faces, and they are relaxed. You know, and especially like the 2K where they are literally doing 40 to 44 down the course. They look totally relaxed. You're like, oh God, how's that even possible? But you know, you're quite right. Hey, I'll tell you what, John, are you sounding a bit motivated? Because Mario's fairly motivating to listen to, isn't he? He puts a big spin on the old on the side of rowing, doesn't he? Makes it sound a whole next level.
Well, anyone who can make an ergo sound so zen, I think, is very motivating. And it's interesting. When I was a schoolboy, I hated ergos because I think they just represented pain and selection. So they were very brutal. Whereas now I look at the ergo, perhaps not quite as zen as Mario, but I look at it as a means to an end, and I'm fine with it. And I'm fine. I'll do them on my own, but what I like best about them is they allow you to enjoy Regatta Day. And you can enjoy the racing. You know you're going to be spent at the end, but you know, 30 seconds later,
you recover.
You'll be fine. And that's what I find really fulfilling about the ergo. is you enjoy Regatta Day. And I think perhaps like all rowers, I love Regatta Day. And the more races we can do, the better. But if you haven't got the ergo fitness in you, it's going to hurt and it's not going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, and you're not going to recover, especially if you're going to do 3 or 4 in a day. You're going to be in a world of strife by that 3rd or 4th one. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah. It is a natural thing. But I'll tell you what, Mario, you did talk it up beautifully. You make it sound like it is enjoyable, and you make me want to go and jump on the machine. Hey, now Mario, have you got a bit on this weekend rowing wise? What's Lake Eildon doing up at Ngambie this weekend?
Well, this weekend is basically a group of 2 women who are very keen to just the rowing part. Just, you know, when you start rowing, you really, it takes a while before you actually feel the connection, you know, learn to feel connection with the blade, your fingertips, you know.
Yep.
But I've been teaching these 2 women, very, you know, they've been the most consistent from the whole group. You know, a lot of people came, they did 1 or 2 sessions. There was one lady who basically got on the boat and she just totally froze it. And she just couldn't keep going. And I had to take over. I had to jump in the boat and take over. And she had to cox back. And we had lots of experiences on the lake. And one particular experience was very intense. Up to this point, I had just beautiful rows, flat water. You know, I've seen eagles. I've seen fish jumping. It's been amazing. Like when it comes to coming close to nature and things like that, it's beautiful. And so I felt like I knew the lake. I felt like the lake was my friend, you know.
Yep.
And one day I took one of these beginners. He'd been rowing like maybe 4 or 5 times, and I thought, I'll take him out in a double scull, you know. So we went out for a row, and just as we're going out, there were some friends of mine who were coming back in, and it was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and they said, and one of them is a joker, you know. You have the context is this guy's always joking about things, you know, and playing practical jokes. And he said, "Do you know there's a storm coming?" And I said, "What storm, mate? There's no storm." And I looked to one side, and there was some dark clouds, but I didn't think it was a storm, you know. I thought, this guy's just making a joke. And then, anyway, the water looked beautiful. It was inviting me in. So I said, nah, we're going for a row. Okay, so I was desperate for a row because rowing for me is like one way of managing my stress in my life. You know?
Yeah.
So we went for a row, and my friend said, he said, you know, we went about a couple of kilometres, and then he said, oh, maybe we should turn around here. And I said, oh, maybe let's go another couple of 100 metres. All right, we'll just keep going another couple. Still, the water was flat. We turn around a couple of 100 metres after that, and we take 10 strokes, and all of a sudden the wind picks up, and within 10 seconds there's like 10-foot waves and I'm just rowing with, you know, go on the slide up and down on the water basically. The boat started sinking. You'd
have no one to rescue you up there, Mario. You'd be in deep poo if you tip over and you're out in the middle of the lake.
You know, you can't think like that. You know, in that moment you go, well, why will it? You know. So this friend, he's still in the club, thank God. You know, we basically grabbed hold of the boat and we just swum to the shore. And there was lightning, there was everything like you could imagine. And we finally get there, and we got to the bank. You know, it took us like 20 minutes. Swim, and we were encouraging each other, and we were just like, you know, how are you going? Just keep going, you know.
Yeah.
We got there, and we hit the boat over, and then the storm went away.
It was only there when you're on the water, and then it came good.
It came good, and we were able to row back, you know, and finish the session, and then just, you know, go straight to the pub and tell everybody the story.
Yeah. So now this friend, though, is this friend going to be competing on the weekend?
No, so there's people have come and gone, but this group of 2 women have been very consistent. We're rowing a mixed double
Brilliant.
On Sunday.
Yep.
one of them in the C division and the other one on the E.
Yep. Whoops, hang on. I think you've disappeared there, Mario. Sorry. You disappeared for a brief second. I've got you back. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're rowing the C mixed double and the double with the two ladies.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
And then I'm rowing the single on Saturday. And I'm in a quad with Powerhouse Rowing Club. They've fitted me into the E grade quad with Ross, Marcel, and Nigel Finney and Brenton.
Yeah, right. Well, that'll be a decent crew, that one.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be a good crew.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, I think I'm also doing. The ladies are doing a double together.
Fantastic.
A D double together.
Yep.
So
Brilliant.
it's going to be just like colours out there, and it should be a good day, for breaking records, the first ever.
Yep. No, it's fantastic, and you've had a cracking year already with representation at pretty much most of the regattas, and hopefully you can snag a little bit of bling on the weekend. I mean, there's 3 medals up in some of these races. You might just come away with something.
Yeah. We love winning. It's the best feeling.
It is.
But, you realise also lose lots of races.
Yeah, that's right. The only difference is when you lose at Masters, it doesn't help. At least when you lose in grade racing, it helps because it increases your points. So we had a productive year this year, didn't we, John, at Hawthorn during the grade season? We all increased our points.
Well, exactly. I think my rowing score's gone back to normal.
Now, just before I let you go, Mario, I just want to, we briefly touched on before John highlighted, we've got the sprints that they're doing at the end of the day on Sunday. Are you aware of this? Have you heard of what they're doing at the end of the day on Sunday, the sprint races?
That's right. I haven't committed sprints.
Yeah. Now you've been around a while. What's your thought on them bringing in these 500-metre sprint races?
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's great for beginners. I think, as a kid, we had under 12s in Chile. Where I started rowing in Chile.
Yep.
And we had under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, and a lot of kids used to row,
Yep.
And we used to race 500 metres.
Yeah.
That was our starting distance. And then gradually, as you get older, you went to longer distance. I think it's fun and close finishes, and the sort of races you can do at country regattas where you're quite happy, go back to 2, 3, 4 races and then you can go out that night and then the next morning you can do it again.
You can do it again. Good, you're referring to Rutherglen here, aren't you? Rutherglen's very much like that.
There you go.
The country regattas for me are the best.
Yeah.
And then... and I also love the winter sculling series. I reckon that's awesome.
Yep.
And they've got tradition behind them. They've been going for a long time.
The winter sculling's been around a long time. Actually, I'll be having a chat with Linda Skidmore in a week or two, who's going to give us a bit of a rundown on the winter sculling season ahead and what to expect. It can be a bit uncomfortable there at 3 degrees in the morning, though, going for a scull. But you don't want to tip over, do you, on those ones?
No. Yeah, and that has happened.
It absolutely.
I do want to remind people that we're having a raffle.
Yes,
and,
let's talk about the raffle.
Yeah, the raffle. So the rowing club is one of the things you realise is we've been having a few committee meetings and stuff like that, and but there's a lot of money that goes into rowing. The boats are expensive, the oars are expensive. The maintenance is expensive. You have to get insurance for the boats and everything. And then, if you want to have a shed, build a shed, there's a lot of cost that goes with creating a rowing club. And we are going to be working with the kids at Seymour Secondary College as well. So there's a rowing program that's starting there. And, and the community has been so generous. And I've had so many boats that have been donated. And, and I really have to send a message that I don't need any more boats. in the near future anymore, really, because I need to find a shed and somewhere to put them so they're safe and out of the weather and stuff.
Yeah.
Before I grow the fleet anymore.
Yep.
But it's been great, and recently Essendon Rowing Club gave me a whole set of many sets of sculling oars. So we're going to be doing some sculling with the kids at Seymour.
Fantastic.
And actually, this weekend they're going to be at State Masters holding people's boats.
Oh,
we
brilliant.
managed to get Joan Robinson. She basically connected me with Linda Skidmore.
Yep.
Who's your interview soon. She's a lovely, lovely lady.
Yep, absolutely.
And Linda is basically giving me the job to collect all these kids from Seymour to work on the holding of the boats at the start of the Masters. So we need to raise money for the club, and we've been having this raffle the last couple of maybe month and a half. And the first prize is a rowing machine, a brand new ergo donated by Mark Nagel.
Yep, Mark Nagel.
Lovely guy.
Yep.
And he's donated. Really, he likes the idea of the rowing club, and he's also given us another boat to a double scull that's soon going to be part of the fleet.
Brilliant.
And anyway, so this rowing machine is the first prize, and then the second prize we've got some tools from Bunnings.
Yep.
Not Bunnings, sorry. Tools, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, Bunnings.
Tools from Jenkins in Alexandra. So I spoke to a few of the local businessmen, and we got the Jenkins shop to give us some tools for this.
You'll know that name, John, won't you? The Yenkin name. You'll know that quite well, I'd imagine.
Well, indeed, I rode with 2 Jenkins over my career at school.
You would have. Marshall would have been one of them, wouldn't it? And
Marshall and James, they're a great family. I know David very well, the father.
Yep. Long-term Mansfield people.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Mansfield people, they own the Alexandra Jenkins.
Yeah.
And the manager is a lovely guy, and we had a good long chat, and he really likes the idea of the rowing club. I think he basically is connected to rowing somehow, because he used to work at the docks, and he used to see all the eights going past.
Oh, yeah.
All of that. And he's a captain of boats, this man. So there was a few synchronicities. So that's the other thing. I've met a lot of people along the way who had a similar dream to have a rowing club on Lake Eildon. You know, it's 550 kilometres of coastline.
Yeah. And
we could have so many beautiful regattas there. You could have a 2,000-metre rowing course there.
Yep.
And you know, in this time of the year, the water's always good. You know, it's as good as in Barrington, Tasmania, the big lake over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're having this raffle, and the draw is on Sunday. So I'm going to be at the State Masters this Saturday and early and Sunday, and I'm going to be selling this raffle ticket. So if you see me, come and buy some raffle tickets.
Buy
all
a
you
ticket.
need is a link on your phone, and then you type in the details, and then the tickets get sold.
Brilliant.
And so far we've raised about $2,300, and I really would like to, and that's about 43 tickets that we've sold.
Yep.
So I really would like to get to 100 at least, you know.
Yeah.
And if we get to 100, that'd be great, because that'll be $5,000 for the club, and that would really help us.
I'll tell you what though, Mario, that's giving pretty good odds of a win too, isn't it, on a raffle? Normally there's thousands of people out there, but there's only, you know, if you get to 100 tickets, you got 1 in 100 chance of winning a machine from hell spawned by the devil himself. And then you got a rope thing.
Well, I'm going to come and see Mario and buy a ticket, because, as you know, Guy, I've worn my ergo out.
Well, you probably have, actually, John. You do. I know firsthand you are a advocate of the device. No two ways about it.
I need a new one, so I'll come and look for Mario at McGambie.
Well, I've got the link on the bottom there of the show. You can buy your tickets there. But I did just search very quickly Lake Eildon Rowing Club raffle, and it comes up straight away. So it's pretty easy to buy. Yep, down there. That's it. Which way does it point? That way? God, it's a bit hard with that way. There, that's it. Follow the link, and get yourself a raffle ticket. Is there still the prize in there from the hairdresser? Is that still on the thing there?
The Tinta Pomponio from Sergio's hairdressing salon in Hawthorn.
Yep.
It's been around for she's a member of the Lake Eildon Rowing Club, and she's a beautiful woman who's just been there from the beginning.
Yep.
And she doesn't row very much. She doesn't like the early mornings, but she does come to the committee, and she's always.
Don't blame her. Now, Mario, I don't know if I told you this, but in my youth, I was going to be a hairdresser, and obviously with my great flowing locks, it made a lot of sense. And I actually did work experience at Serge Vidal in Hawthorn back in the early 80s. I don't have much use for those hair care products at the moment, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, you never know. It might grow back.
Oh well, yeah. No, I'll tell you what. It's going everywhere. No, we won't go. It's an adult show, but we still won't go there. But no, there's some great prizes. Absolutely fantastic cause, obviously. The links on there, if I can point my finger, this is all weird doing it in reverse. Links down there. But as I said, if you just Google Lake Eildon Rowing Club raffle, it'll come up. But you'll be there on the weekend. You're gonna tap people on the back and say, give us your money, buy a ticket.
Yeah, and I did say I was going to do a live Facebook stream like what you're doing, basically, of the draw. Yep. 12 o'clock. But then I'm not so sure what time the races will be that I'm in. So it's going to be a little bit funny to. I mean, if I'm at 12 o'clock and I'm racing, I'm not sure how it's going to work out. But I'm hoping to be doing it live. And if I'm not available, it'll happen as soon as I'm out of whatever I'm doing.
Yep.
But it'll be on Sunday.
On the Lake Eildon Rowing Club Inc. Facebook page, is that where you'll be doing it? Hopefully you get the tech a bit better than tonight. But don't worry, we'll be there. We can help you out, Mario. We'll if we fall in a heap, we can always do it via another avenue somehow.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
I appreciate that. I appreciate all your support, John, and you, Guy. You've been fantastic, and look, you've got to come up. We're going to have a regatta. That's the next thing. So there's a place called the Eildon Pondage, which is below the lake wall. Okay, so there's a town of Eildon, and then there's Lake Eildon, and then there is this wall, and beneath the wall there's this beautiful man-made lake. It's a man-made lake, and it's a bike track around it, and a little bridge over it. It's very picturesque, and there's a little island there. It's like picturesque. And they don't let any boats on it. And only fishermen can go there, and they have to fish from the bank, not allowed to be on the water at all. So you have to get an excursion for this event, and so we've been working with Golden Murray Water and AGL. And ultimately what we would like is to have a rowing club on this, on the banks of this pondage, because it's absolutely incredible. You could have so we're going to showcase this, and the finish line is basically there's this beautiful little pontoon, not a pontoon, a jetty that comes out on there, and the island is right in front, and you can do an 800-meter race. So I love going to Brotherglen, and that's my highlight, the 800-meter races at Brotherglen. It's a good
distance, that one.
Yes, and so basically, and it's a straight course, deep water, and so you go, when you get to the island, you've got 100 metres left of the line. So we're going to have the championship of Australia or something. We're going to call it Ponderosa.
Ponderosa. Hey, was that red pond or something? Is that what that means?
Ponderosa. It's got a bit of Spanish thing about it, or a bit of South American spice. Basically because it's on this pondage, and there's a little bit of controversy about it, because there's a bit of a tug of war there. They don't want to let us use it, but ultimately we're going to end up with a club on this most picturesque place in the universe, and with this regatta that's going to, it's going to be the highlight of the rowing season.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few interested partakers on a regatta like that. I think there'd be a lot of interest in other activities up there as well, like maybe opening a quiet can of beer afterwards. I would have thought would be very pleasant up at Lake Eildon. John, what do you reckon? That'd appeal to you, wouldn't it?
Oh, I absolutely love Lake Eildon. It's a fantastic spot. Eildon Township's great. Although I think the pub closed down, didn't it, Mario, from memory? last couple of years. But apart from that, we can make our own fun.
Yeah, well, there's the pub this close. The pub actually there was a sinkhole that appeared. You know, this pub has had a bad name because there's a mine under the pub, a gold mine. So, and obviously they've done some work down there, and then So, but there's this other place called Pixies, and I hope he's going to be a sponsor of one of the races, okay, because I'm mentioning his name.
Yep.
But yeah, they've got a beautiful place with where you can have a band, you can have food, and you can have a dance. And so we're planning on the whole thing. It's going to, the 31st of August is the date.
All right.
So people start putting that in their calendar.
Yep.
And start thinking about it. 31st of August, 2024.
Yep.
And it's going to be a Saturday, and it's going to be an amazing day. It's just before the start of the fishing season.
Yep.
There's a lot of people here, and we're going to make a spectacle of rowing, an exhibition regatta.
Yep. Sounds like.
If we don't call it regatta, we can call it other names. Okay, so but
you don't want to get caught up in the old political issue there, do you? Sometimes it could be just a training row, couldn't it?
It could be a training row.
Could be.
It's going to happen. Whichever way the universe is going to choose, it's going to happen. Okay, whether it's one way or the other, we're going to make sure we have a regatta here, and because we need people up here. It's good for the economy. It's good for the environment. You know, people are sort of need to be out in the fresh air and doing things, and I want, and the Eildon Township needs also to be involved and see what a beautiful sport this is that it's coming into their town. Yeah. And who knows, the kids in primary school, there's a primary school there, they might be interested. So it just, it's a great event, and it's going to benefit many different communities, bringing them together and creating wealth and opportunities.
Well done yet again, Mario. Well, we'll let you go. John's still got to fill us in with some of his wisdom about the weekend, but we'll let you get back to it. But look, appreciate you coming on. We'll be there banging your what's the word to use? Banging your chain, so to speak, with the Lake Eildon Rowing Club. We're all big fans of it. Love what you're doing. Love what you've been doing. I love getting in the boat with you guys too when the opportunity arises. That's for sure, because the passion there is fantastic. And you're the only person on the planet that can make you actually want to sound like you want to do an ergo. I don't know how you're a wordsmith when it comes to describing the ergo as being something pleasant, because I've certainly never thought of anything remotely like that. But you certainly did motivate there, I think, to say, well, jump on the ergo.
It's a journey. Treat it like a journey, and think about mindfulness. How you can be there every. Because I had a friend who used to get on the ergo, and she had the earphones on, and she's watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Keep your mind somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I find that rowing movement therapy. It's therapeutic. That movement, that rhythm, that whole thing. They combine with the breathing. You've got meditation. You don't have to go to any ashrams or whatever. You just have to row.
He's talking it up again. I'll tell you what, you're absolutely spot on. I love the word journey. I like that one because it is part of a journey. It's a step in that way, isn't it?
I think Mario's just trying to sell tickets for the raffle for the ergo.
Oh, yeah, because everyone wants to get an ergo now because they're listening. Yeah, he's just, it's still a sales pitch, all of this. There's no authenticity whatsoever.
An ad man can see straight through that pitch.
Yeah, I can see straight through it.
$500, for $500, you've got a bloody good chance of getting it. Because, you've got God stuck in the people's favour.
Yeah. No, it's a ripper. You want to be getting a ticket for sure. Yeah, you want to be getting a ticket. Anyway, Mario, look, we're going to leave you. We will see you on the weekend. Thank you very much, and best of luck to Lake Eildon on the weekend. Hopefully you come away with something around your necks, and it becomes only the beginning of the future. Well, here we go. You're going to sing us out?
I'm just going to sing it out. This is one of the things I've been doing is playing a bit of guitar.
All right.
And there's this song that I think is perfect for this show.
Right.
It's called
Okay.
Row, row your boat Shotgun Johnny.
Row, row. I reckon I've heard these lyrics before.
Merrily, merrily, life keeps back. One more.
All right, you go. Come on, John. Can't hear you.
I'm on mute.
Merrily, 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 life keeps back.
Well, that's absolute highlight of the show, that's for sure. Well done, but I do reckon you ripped off those lyrics. I think they've been done before, but never mind. That was brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Mario. We will see you on the weekend, and best of luck. John, we're going to continue on with some of the boring stats and numbers and so forth, but see you on the weekend, Mario, and thanks again.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you on the weekend. I hope you can stay the night somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find something.
Drop away.
Yeah. We might have a cleansing ale on the Saturday afternoon. What do you reckon? Good on you. Thanks, Mario. Oh, there you go. That was good, wasn't it? About the singing, I don't know if I couldn't see. The only reason I wasn't singing there, John, is because I was doing it with the phone and it was going to reverb and it wouldn't work. So otherwise, I would have built it into song.
The only reason I wasn't singing is because I can't.
Oh, look, don't ever cut you. Well, we could have been the judge of that, but I don't know. Maybe it requires a few beers too if you're going to be doing that one.
Very
That was good. That's good. I'll tell you what, he certainly does show your passion, doesn't he? Wow.
Oh, indeed. And I love how he takes rowing to a deeper level, because I think...
Oh, yeah. No, it's, that is it.
Well, as rowers,
I've never heard an ergo be described as something so pleasurable. It's right up there.
Well, I think as rowers, we innately think that, and we perhaps personally think that, but we don't often express it. So it's lovely to hear someone so passionate who's willing to express it quite so openly.
It is good. Now, I want to come back briefly to this 500-metre thing, and I know we've gone in and out of it a few times. The reason I want to come back to it, I was thinking about it last night when we were chatting about it, actually, because we had a rowing family here, and I was trying to think of another sport that is a start line, finish line, that only has one distance. I can't think of anything. Even canoeing and kayaking have a 500 and a 1K. Everything, obviously, athletics, I don't need to explain that one. Obviously, swimming, don't need to explain that one. Everything has multiple distances except rowing. Have you got one that you can catch me out on here?
I will struggle, I think. Question without notice, I have to think about it. But what I'm sort of pondering, though, is when I heard the former CEO of Rowing Australia talk about how they were trying to shake up the sport of rowing.
Yep.
And I think primarily to make it more spectator friendly was the number one objective. And funnily enough, watching Boys in the Boat that Mario mentioned, one thing that struck me was how the train was full of spectators following the crews down the Olympic course, which obviously would make it a really interesting spectator sport, because there's former parents and spectators are rowing. You only see the last 30 seconds typically. But I'm sort of wondering if it's a solution to something that's not a problem. Like, we're only talking 6 minutes of competition. Do we need to make it 3 minutes from a spectator experience? Or, as perhaps we found out with LA, is it more of a logistics and cost and resource issue, in that not many towns or countries these days can afford to actually build a 2-kilometre course, international course?
Well, this isn't about just having one or the other. This is about having multiple on the same day, right? So this is not, based on what you're saying there, that would make sense if it was a case of we've only got a 500 metre, therefore it's going to be a legitimate thing, etc. But I think what they're doing here is adding it in to have more events, and I think that's a great way of doing it. But it makes regattas a hell of a lot longer, doesn't it? Because if everyone starts wanting to do 500s as well, and as we know, when you've got singles, doubles, pairs, etc., You know, they've already got rid of lightweight basically at Olympics. What do you start removing to replace with 500? Maybe, as you just said, is there really a problem? Maybe not. But I love the idea of 500. As you know, it's right up my alley. But and there will be athletes out there that it suits is, you know, a couple of minutes versus 6. I don't know.
100%, and obviously Rowing Victoria are really behind this because they're not charging seat fees for it. It's on top of the regatta. They're presumably they'll have to have volunteers that are out there in the boats and starting. Or I'm not sure they presumably won't bring the finger wharf in.
No.
Like a quick start. But obviously they're really behind this and trying to push it. And maybe it's because they perhaps didn't expect the amount of athletes for 2 full days, and here's a way of maybe making up what might be a half day on Sunday or a 2/3 day on Sunday. But I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's a great outcome. I just think at the elite level, once you start mixing 2Ks with 1500 at LA, how does that go for elite preparation of the athletes? And we all know the head of the river course was 1500 meters, then it moves into Gam and get the full 2K. So I think rowing's going through an interesting period, and you look at Rowing Australia and they classify rowing into 3 disciplines. There's classic, which we'd all think is 2K, coastal, and indoor. So they're almost classifying it 3 ways, and classic seems to be perhaps changing, as we know with LA. But it's interesting times. Well, I really admire the fact that Rowing Victoria said, let's put on 500 metre sprints for the third quarter of Sunday, let's call it, and it should be great fun. And hopefully you and I can compete in one of those, Guy.
Absolutely. As I happily say, I've got 500 in me. It's the second 5 it's the problem. Bear in mind, of course, I am a coxswain, so you know I reckon I'm doing all right just to get to the 500 mark. But it is good. Now, what else do we need to cover on for this weekend? I mean, what do we reckon? I mean, we're pretty comfortable in Melbourne are going to take out the premiership again this year, aren't they? The Masters Premiership standing.
Well, I love the fact that Carrum have got such a strong ladies representation. Again, I'm going to the Vic Masters team, but I think we've seen Carrum have been really active in not only the club, the grade regattas, but Masters. But I think I'll just give you a couple of personal, perhaps, reflections on states and you know what it means to me. There's this, as you know, I've only rowed Masters for the last few years, but
because that's because of age qualification, of course, because you're only 29. Is that the reason?
The 3 things that really stick out for me with state Masters, and again, this is my 3rd one, is number 1, I love the finger wharf start. I love the fact boats are held. I think as a mid-50s person, it's perhaps the only time you feel like an international athlete.
Yes.
I love the different start, and it's got a slightly different build up to it, and backing the boat in and holding it.
A lot more formal, you know, got to be at the start 5 minutes, 2 minutes into the starting box, all of those sort of things, which adds pressure and fun to the coxswain's job, of course.
Well, indeed. And even from the rowers' point of view, it's very different. It only happens twice a year if you go to states and nationals. So I love that different part of it, and they announce each cruise, as we know. So it's that different start, I think, which makes states something different and slightly more motivational. I love the camaraderie of it because, you know, that shared experiences and goals, and ultimately because it's the culmination of the season. I think ideally you're probably your fittest, so you can actually enjoy the rowing and the racing and absolutely trying your best when you're probably in the peak physical state that you can be as a Masters rower. So they're the 3 things that really stick out for me at Masters: is the start, the shared camaraderie, and the fact that hopefully you can just so enjoy it because you're probably as fit as you're going to be at any stage of the rowing season. And
a multi-day event is always good too.
Well, indeed, and unlike last year, but this year, fantastic.
I won't go into last year, but it's absolutely great. I was very concerned that they'd be pulling this one into a 1 day as well, but I've been very happily proved wrong on that one. And as we were discussing earlier, there's some good entries. So No, all looking very positive for this weekend. You brushed on the weather before. I hadn't looked. Is that right? So we are in for good weather?
In for very good weather. 20 degrees Saturday, 21 Sunday.
Yep.
Most importantly, light winds. And as we know, Andy, and just going back to my spectating days, both my daughter and my son rowed 2Ks. And I'd often hear when they came off the water how rough it was at the start. And I'm thinking, how weak are you two? Because back in our day, we rowed in hard weather. Because we'd see Ngambie at the finish line in the channel where it's beautifully calm.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Masters again, I realised it can get pretty choppy and ugly out in that lake.
It can get pretty choppy and ugly.
Which is for us is the first 300 metres. But looking at the wind forecast, it's light winds both days. So let's hope that holds.
Perfect. No, sounds good. Looking very much forward to a big weekend up there, that's for sure. And weather is such a big factor in rowing because it takes the fun out of it when it's drizzly, miserable and cold and you're stuck on the banks of a river or a lake all day.
Well, indeed, how fortunate we were at Albert Park a couple of days ago.
Sorry, what was that with Albert Park?
Saying how fortunate we were at Albert Park. Because anywhere there's a lake, Ngambie, Maree or Albert Park, weather has a massive factor. And last Sunday, we were very fortunate at Albert Park had some really nice conditions.
Exactly right. No, that was great. It's actually been a fairly good season. Well, I wasn't at Carrum, of course, but I believe it's been a pretty good Masters season all up.
Yeah, indeed. We skipped Wendouree. Perhaps that might be why it has been.
Yeah, well, I love Wendouree. I mean, it's my favourite. It really is. But jeepers, it can be hit and miss. Oh, it can be grim. It can be grim. But I love it, you know, especially like was it 2 years ago when we had the Nationals in Ballarat. And that was fantastic. A couple of days there. It is a great spot. It really is.
I think the history of it, I love the fact, you know, the 1956 Olympics was rowed there. So to me, that's really, really special. Yeah, can overcome the fact that it's a pretty big, foreboding body of water at times, but it's pretty special to row on an Olympic course, no matter what.
Yeah, yep. In the footsteps of greatness, John. Is that what they say? In the footsteps of greatness.
Indeed.
Oh dear. Well, I reckon we've covered pretty much everything off. There's no point going through the entry list up to event number 79 and trying to pick some winners because we already have by default. You've told us the stats on Melbourne and Carrum. I think it is good to see Carrum. They've got a great Zooty too, haven't they, the old Carrum? So it stands out. It's like the high vis of rowing. I don't know, that's where they're getting their strength from.
You say Lake Eildon and Carrum probably have the most visible Zooties?
Oh, imagine actually if you did a mixed, not a mixed, but a composite crew between Lake Eildon and Carrum, that wouldn't be so good to look at, though, would it? Be a bit, how you going? But I love them both Zooties individually. I think Lake Eildon for me is the best Zooty that I've ever seen, and Carrum's up there.
Indeed, and
I don't know about ours. I don't think we rank, but that's okay.
I don't mind it being a Geelong Football Club supporter, but that's a whole new topic.
That's a whole new topic, but I'm a Hawthorn supporter, so it says the right thing. It just looks the wrong way. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, let's leave it at that, John. We've been going over an hour, and people will be going, oh, God, shut these two clowns up. But I reckon we've done well. I should also finish off by highlighting, I'm not in the dinner suit tonight, of course. I'm just in the 2 times you attire. Hint, hint, 2 times you. By all means, feel free to send me some merch. No, that's not what we're asking for. But maybe the dinner suit will come back on next time as I become a spectator rather than a participant. I think that was your spin on it, John, wasn't it, that I could use?
Well, yes, indeed, because unfortunately we may not be competing at Henley Royal Regatta, so we might have to dress up for that.
We might have to dress up for that. I think we've got ideas already, haven't we? I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a ripper. The Henley, that's only a few short months away. We're going to do a ripping preview show there, and stay tuned. We could have some very exciting guests on that one, that's for sure. But fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Anyway, John, look, thank you very much for joining me yet again. All your words of wisdom, as expected, exceptional, covering bases I hadn't even thought of. Thank God, because my research was a bit light on, and I was expecting you to do the heavy lifting, which you did. You did all the heavy lifting, so well done. Much appreciated. Thank you for joining me.
absolute pleasure, Guy. And you know I do quite like the sport, so it's certainly not a chore.
Yeah, no, it is. Oh, look at that. Tiff's give us a nice little compliment. What a team on and off the water. There we go. Thanks, Tiff. If she's still listening, my God, she must be bored tonight. Oh, dear. Anyway, fantastic work. I will see you on a Saturday. Oh, I'll see you before, won't I, John? I'll see you in the water tomorrow.
And here's to a fantastic weekend, and we'll get behind Rowing Victoria, support it, and it should be a great State Masters.
Absolutely, absolutely. In perfect weather, in perfect location. I do love Ngambie. Anyway, all good. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you got some stuff out of it. I reckon half of you have probably already jumped onto the ergo following Mario's great motivational talk. He really does go next level with this sport. He's obviously, he must just bleed rowing. I thought you were a rowing tragic, John. I think he's gone next level in all of that. takes it sky high in a very, very good and positive, motivating way. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And for those who are going to be up there at Ngambie on the weekend, hopefully we'll see you. And have a great weekend. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Guy.